Relax now. Allow the day to grow distant. Let the sounds around you become softer and softer as we travel gently into a world that existed thousands of years ago. A world of warm stone walls and slow rivers. A world where the sun rose over fields of grain and set behind quiet desert hills. A world where children often belonged not only to families, but also to systems much larger than themselves. Tonight, we drift toward ancient Egypt. The air is still. The stars shine above the Nile River. The water moves quietly through the darkness, carrying reflections of moonlight across its surface. Along the riverbanks stand villages built from mud brick. Their walls hold the warmth of the day long after sunset. Small homes cluster together beside narrow pathways worn smooth by countless feet. Most people are asleep now. Workers rest after long hours in the fields. Fishermen sleep beside rolled nets. Potters rest beside cooling kilns. Bakers have only a few more hours before they must wake again. The night feels peaceful. Yet somewhere within these sleeping settlements are children whose lives have already begun to follow paths laid out for them by powerful institutions. Some belong to temples. Some belong to royal workshops. Some are raised within households connected to the government. Some live among scribes. Others serve inside large estates where work begins before dawn. Their lives are not entirely their own. From an early age, systems guide their future. Their days follow routines older than memory. Their futures often seem decided long before adulthood arrives. As we move slowly through the ancient world, we will spend time beside these children. We will walk dusty roads with them. We will sit quietly in shaded courtyards. We will listen to the sounds of daily work surrounding them. And together we will discover what life may have felt like for young people raised inside systems that shaped every hour of their lives. The eastern horizon begins to brighten. Night slowly fades. The stars disappear one by one. Soon the first birds begin calling from reeds beside the Nile. A cool breeze moves across the water. For a short time, before the heat arrives, the world feels gentle. Inside a small mud brick building, a young boy wakes before sunrise. He sleeps on a simple woven mat. The floor beneath him is hard-packed earth. Nearby, other children are waking as well. This building belongs to a temple complex. The temple rises above the surrounding settlement like a stone mountain. Its walls are covered with carved images. Its courtyards stretch across a large area of land. Many adults work here. Priests, gardeners, servants, record keepers, craftsmen. And among them are children. Some arrived years ago. Some were brought recently. Many spend most of their lives within the temple grounds. The boy sits quietly. He rubs sleep from his eyes. The morning air still feels cool. Soon that coolness will disappear beneath the growing heat of the Egyptian sun. A bell does not wake him. No loud command echoes through the halls. Instead, life moves according to habits repeated every day. Adults rise. Children rise. The entire community slowly comes to life. Outside, sandals scrape against stone pathways. Someone carries water jars. Someone sweeps dust from a courtyard. Someone begins preparing grain for the morning meal. The boy joins the others. Breakfast is simple. Bread. Perhaps a few vegetables. Maybe dates if supplies allow. The food is not luxurious. It is practical. Enough to support a day of work and learning. As the sun climbs higher, activity spreads through the temple. Some children assist older workers. Others begin lessons. Many ancient institutions viewed children as future workers, future servants, future administrators, future scribes. The years of childhood often blended slowly into training. A child learned by watching, by repeating, by participating. Knowledge moved from one generation to another through daily routines. Inside a shaded room, several young students sit cross-legged on the floor. The room smells faintly of reeds and ink. Light enters through small openings in the walls. Dust drifts through narrow beams of sunlight. A teacher sits nearby. His voice remains calm, patient, measured. The children practice signs and symbols. Again and again. Lines appear on scraps of writing material. Mistakes are corrected. Lessons continue. Hours pass quietly. The work requires concentration, careful attention, steady hands. Not every child receives this kind of education. Literacy remains rare. Most children throughout Egypt will become farmers, laborers, fishermen, or craftspeople. Yet systems connected to government and temples need record keepers. The administration of a large kingdom depends upon writing. Grain must be counted. Workers must be recorded. Taxes must be tracked. Storage buildings must be monitored. Information must travel. Children selected for scribal training enter a world shaped by discipline and routine. Their days become filled with symbols, records, lists, observations. The work may seem quiet, but it carries great importance. Outside, the sun continues rising. Heat spreads across stone courtyards. Workers move more slowly now. Sweat gathers on brows. The smell of warm earth fills the air. Beyond the temple walls, life unfolds across the Nile Valley. Farmers walk toward fields. Oxen pull simple equipment. Birds circle above irrigation canals. Children in ordinary households are already helping their families. A young girl follows her mother toward a communal oven. She carries a small basket. The basket feels heavy in her arms. Yet she carries it carefully. The road beneath her feet is dusty. The village is fully awake now. Voices drip through the morning air. People greet one another. Merchants prepare goods. Donkeys move through narrow streets. The girl belongs to a household connected to a large agricultural estate. Her family works land controlled by powerful authorities. The estate shapes nearly every aspect of life. Fields, storage buildings, housing, labor schedules, food distribution, all connect to a larger system. Children grow up understanding these structures long before they understand politics or power. To them, this arrangement simply feels normal. The adults around them rise early. Work hard. Rest briefly. Then repeat the cycle tomorrow. The girl helps where she can. She gathers water. Assists with food preparation. Watches younger children. Carries supplies. Her responsibilities increase gradually with age. Nobody announces the transition. It happens naturally. One task becomes two. Two become three. Eventually childhood and work blend together. The sun climbs higher. The village grows hotter. Heat presses against walls. Shadows shrink. Animals search for shelter. Inside homes, families move carefully through familiar routines. The smell of baking bread fills the air. Stone grinding tools scrape steadily. Hands knead dough. Clay ovens radiate warmth. These simple activities shape daily life. Children observe them endlessly. year after year. The knowledge becomes part of them. No formal lesson is required. The rhythm of work teaches everything. Farther north along the river, another child begins a very different morning. He lives inside a royal workshop. His father works with stone. His older brothers shape blocks for construction projects. Large teams gather here every day. The workshop never feels completely silent. Even at dawn there are sounds. Hammering. Scraping. Voices. Movement. The child grows up surrounded by labor. Stone dust settles on clothing. Tools rest against walls. Workers discuss measurements. Projects continue for months or years. From a young age, children in these environments learn to navigate adult workplaces. They understand where supplies are stored. They know which paths workers use. They recognize foremen. They learn routines before they fully understand their purpose. The boy spends part of his day carrying small items, delivering messages, observing skilled workers, watching techniques repeated again and again. The workshop itself becomes a classroom. The lessons are practical, direct, continuous. Outside, the desert stretches beyond the cultivated lands. The contrast feels striking. Green fields near the river. Golden sands beyond. The Nile remains the center of life. Without it, little would survive. Its waters shape agriculture, trade, transportation, food supplies. Entire systems depend upon its seasonal behavior. Children raised within these systems grow up understanding the river deeply. They know its moods, its sounds, its smells. They notice changes adults might overlook. A rising water level, a different current, the arrival of migratory birds. The river becomes part of daily awareness, part of identity, part of memory. As afternoon approaches, heat settles heavily across the land. The sun feels relentless. Stone surfaces grow hot beneath bare feet. Workers seek shade whenever possible. Children do the same. Activity slow. The pace of life softens. Even conversations become quieter. Inside cool interior rooms, some children continue lessons. Others rest briefly. A few help prepare meals. Many simply wait for the worst heat to pass. These quiet hours reveal another side of childhood. Moments between responsibilities. Moments of observation. Moments when young minds wander. A child sits beneath a shaded wall. Nearby, older workers discuss harvest estimates. The child only half listens. Instead, attention drifts toward insects moving across the ground, toward distant birds, toward sunlight reflecting from pottery jars. Simple things. Small details. Ancient childhood contains these moments too. Not every hour belongs to work. Even within structured systems, children find spaces for imagination, for curiosity, for rest. The afternoon slowly fades. Shadows begin lengthening. The air cools slightly. Activity increases once more. People return to unfinished tasks. Animals are gathered. Supplies are counted. Meals are prepared. The day moves toward evening. Along the Nile, fishermen pull nets from the water. The river glows beneath the lowering sun. Orange light spreads across its surface. Children help sort catches. Silverfish flash briefly before disappearing into baskets. The work feels ordinary, familiar. Another routine repeated countless times. Nearby, Boats drift quietly. Voices carry across the water. The scene feels peaceful, almost timeless. As darkness approaches, cooking fires appear throughout villages. Smoke rises into the evening sky. Families gather. Workers return home. Children settle beside parents and relatives. Stories are shared. Food is eaten. The pace slows again. The systems shaping these lives remain present. Yet for a few hours, the demands of labor loosen. The night belongs to community, to conversation, to rest. A young temple student sits outside beneath emerging stars. The stone walls around him still hold traces of warmth. He listens to distant sounds. Footsteps. Voices. The soft movement of wind. Tomorrow his lessons will continue. The routines will return. The expectations placed upon him will remain unchanged. But tonight, for a short while, he simply watches the sky. Ancient Egypt stretches quietly around him. The river flows through darkness. Palm trees sway gently. The desert waits beyond the fields. And across this vast landscape, countless other children prepare for sleep. Some live in temples. Some on estates. Some in workshops. Some beside fishing docks. Each belongs to systems larger than themselves. Yet each experiences childhood in deeply personal ways. Through tired eyes. Through growing hands. Through small daily moments that history rarely records. The stars shine above the Nile. The night deepens. The sounds of work fade away. One by one, homes grow quiet. And slowly, gently, another ancient day comes to rest beneath the calm Egyptian sky. The night settles more deeply over the Nile Valley. The last cooking fires burn low. A few quiet voices drift through the darkness, then slowly disappear. Most of the village sleeps now. Mud brick homes rest beneath a sky crowded with stars. The river moves silently through the landscape, carrying cool air across the fields. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barks once and then grows quiet again. For a few peaceful hours, the systems that organize daily life seem almost invisible. The overseers sleep. The scribes sleep. The laborers sleep. Children sleep beside parents, siblings, and relatives. Many homes contain only a single room. Others have small courtyards enclosed by simple walls. Privacy is rare. Families live close together. Life unfolds in shared spaces. A young girl sleeps on a woven mat near the doorway of her family's home. The earth beneath the mat remains slightly cool from the night air. Beside her rests a clay jar filled with water collected earlier in the day. The room smells faintly of grain, dust, and baked bread. These scents are familiar. Comforting. They have surrounded her for as long as she can remember. She sleeps deeply because tomorrow will require energy. Tomorrow, like every day, begins before sunrise. The stars continue their slow journey overhead. Hours pass quietly. The eastern horizon gradually becomes lighter. Night begins releasing its hold upon the land. The first sounds of morning return. Birds call from the reeds. Water laps softly against riverbanks. Workers stir from sleep. Children wake as well. The day begins once more. The girl rises before the sunlight reaches the doorway. Her mother is already awake. So is her grandmother. Several generations often live close together. Knowledge passes naturally through everyday routines. No formal classroom is needed for many lessons. Children learn by watching older family members perform tasks again and again. The grandmother kneels beside a grinding stone. The motion is steady, familiar, patient. She has done this thousands of times. The girl watches carefully. One day she will perform the same work. Not because anyone formally announces it. Not because a document declares it. Simply because this is how life continues. Skills move quietly from one generation to another. Outside, the village slowly brightens. A warm breeze carries the scent of damp earth from irrigated fields. Farmers begin gathering tools. Animals are fed. Water containers are lifted onto shoulders. The first rays of sunlight spread across the landscape. Within large agricultural estates, activity starts early. These estates often function like small worlds of their own. Storehouses stand beside workshops. Housing clusters near fields. Officials track supplies and labor. Everything operates according to systems developed over many years. Children grow up surrounded by organization. Even if they never understand the larger structure, they understand their place within it. A boy walks beside his father toward the fields. His sandals leave faint marks in the dust. The morning remains pleasant for now. Soon the heat will arrive. The father carries simple farming tools. The boy carries a smaller bundle. Neither speaks much. There is no need. The path is familiar. They have walked it countless times. Birds move through tall grasses near irrigation channels. The river glitters in the distance. For many children, mornings begin with movement. Walking. Carrying. Helping. Observing. The day unfolds through action rather than instruction. The boy reaches the fields as sunlight spreads across rows of crops. Workers are already busy. Some inspect irrigation ditches. Others organize equipment. The estate depends upon successful harvests. Every season matters. Food must be produced, stored, recorded, distributed. Large systems require steady labor from many people. Children are not expected to perform the same work as adults. Yet they are gradually introduced to responsibilities. Small tasks first. Then larger ones. Each year brings additional expectations. The process feels slow because it happens over time. The boy spends part of the morning carrying water. Later he gathers scattered tools. He listens as older workers discuss weather, crops, and river conditions. Without realizing it, he absorbs information constantly. The field itself becomes a classroom. The lessons arrive through experience. Meanwhile, not far away, another child begins a very different day. She lives within a temple complex. The temple rises above nearby buildings, its walls glowing softly in the morning light. Large columns cast long shadows across stone courtyards. Gardens flourish within protected spaces. Pools reflect the sky. The temple is not only a religious center. It is also an institution. A place of administration, storage, education, employment. Many people spend their entire lives connected to it. The girl belongs to a household that serves the temple. Her parents work within its grounds. She has grown up among priests, gardeners, scribes, and craftsmen. The sounds of temple life are deeply familiar. Sandals on stone. The sweep of brooms. The murmur of prayers. The splash of water. The scratch of reed pens across writing surfaces. This morning she helps carry baskets of fresh produce from nearby gardens. The baskets are not too heavy. Still, the work requires effort. She moves carefully through shaded pathways. Around her, adults continue their own tasks. No one rushes. The pace feels steady, measured, purposeful. Life inside large institutions often follows routines refined over generations. Children raised in these environments learn structure from an early age. Days unfold according to patterns. Meals occur at expected times. Work follows established schedules. Responsibilities are understood. The rhythm rarely changes. For some children, this predictability provides comfort. For others, it feels restrictive. Most simply accept it as part of life. As the morning progresses, sunlight grows stronger. Stone surfaces warm beneath the sun. Workers seek shade whenever possible. The temple's thick walls help keep interior rooms cooler. Inside one such room, several young students practice writing. The atmosphere is quiet. Only the occasional voice breaks the silence. A teacher moves slowly among them, checking work, correcting mistakes, offering guidance. The students copy symbols repeatedly. Each mark requires care. Precision matters. Writing is valuable. Records support the kingdom. Without records, large systems struggle to function. Grain shipments, work assignments, land measurements, tax collections. Everything depends upon information. Children chosen for this path often spend years developing their skills. The work can be tiring. Hours pass while practicing the same forms. Yet mastery brings opportunities unavailable to many others. Some students dream of becoming respected scribes. Others simply follow the path expected of them. Outside the classroom, the world continues moving. Merchants travel dusty roads between settlements. Fishermen guide boats across calm waters. Builders shape stone beneath the growing heat. Children encounter all of these activities. The ancient world surrounds them with examples of labor. Everywhere they look, people are working. Food does not appear without effort. Buildings do not rise without labor. Boats do not move without crews. Systems depend upon countless individuals performing ordinary tasks. Children learn this reality early. As the sun reaches higher into the sky, the air grows heavy. Heat settles over the land like a blanket. Workers wipe sweat from their faces. Animals seek shelter. Even birds become quieter. The hottest part of the day arrives. Many activities slow. People conserve energy. Shade becomes precious. Inside homes, courtyards offer relief from direct sunlight. Families gather in cooler spaces whenever possible. A young servant boy sits near a wall where a narrow shadow provides comfort. He works within a large household connected to local officials. His responsibilities remain modest. Delivering messages, fetching supplies, helping maintain order. The household functions almost like a small institution. Numerous workers contribute to daily operations. Meals must be prepared. Rooms maintained. Visitors received. Records managed. The boy moves through this world every day. He knows which corridors remain cool. Which workers are kind. Which tasks require extra attention. His understanding comes from experience. Not written instructions. Not formal lessons. Simply observation accumulated over time. Many children raised within systems become skilled observers. They learn to read moods, expectations, schedules. They notice details that adults sometimes overlook. A delayed shipment. A missing tool. A change in routine. Awareness becomes part of survival. Part of belonging. Part of growing up. The afternoon drifts forward slowly. Heat shimmers above distant fields. The river continues flowing steadily through the valley. Its presence offers reassurance. A constant companion throughout life. Many children spend free moments near the water. Watching boats. Listening to birds. Observing fishermen. The river provides endless small distractions. A young boy crouches beside the bank. His work is finished for now. He watches sunlight dance across the surface. Tiny ripples spread outward from a fish breaking the water. Reeds sway gently in the breeze. The scene feels peaceful. Timeless. Moments like this rarely appear in official records. Yet they may have formed some of the most meaningful memories of childhood. Not grand events. Not ceremonies. Not political decisions. Simply quiet moments beside a river. The afternoon gradually softens. The harshest heat begins to fade. Long shadows return. People emerge from shaded spaces. Activity increases once more. Farmers finish tasks in the fields. Craftsmen return to workshops. Children assist wherever needed. A girl helps gather dried reeds. Another carries water. A boy organizes fishing equipment. These jobs may seem small. Yet they contribute to larger systems supporting entire communities. No task exists entirely alone. Everything connects. The reeds become tools. The tools support labor. The labor produces food. The food sustains workers. The workers maintain the institutions shaping daily life. Children grow up within these networks of connection, often without fully seeing the larger picture. As evening approaches, colors change across the landscape. Golden light spreads across the fields. Palm trees cast long shadows. The river reflects orange and pink tones. The air feels more comfortable now. People breathe easier. The busiest hours are ending. Cooking fires appear once again. Families prepare meals. Voices drift through villages. Children return from their tasks. Tired but accustomed to the routine. A young temple student finishes his lessons for the day. He steps outside into the cooling air. The stone beneath his sandals still holds warmth from the afternoon sun. Nearby, workers finish cleaning courtyards. Birds settle into trees. The atmosphere feels calm. He pauses beside a pool within the temple grounds. The water reflects the sky. For a few moments he simply watches. No writing exercises. No responsibilities. Only stillness. Perhaps he wonders about his future. Perhaps he thinks about nothing at all. Children have always experienced moments like these. Moments suspended between work and sleep. Between responsibility and rest. The evening deepens. Stars begin appearing overhead. One by one. Slowly. Quietly. Across Egypt, thousands of children prepare for another night. Some sleep inside crowded homes. Some within temple compounds. Some near workshops. Some beside riverbanks. Their lives are shaped by systems older than themselves. Systems of labor. Education. Administration. Religion. Trade. Yet within those systems, they remain children. Curious. Observant. Sometimes tired. Sometimes hopeful. Sometimes lost in thought beneath the stars. The Nile flows onward through the darkness. The wind moves softly across the fields. And as another ancient day settles into silence, countless young lives drift gently toward sleep beneath the peaceful Egyptian sky. The night air feels cooler now. A gentle breeze drifts across the Nile and slips quietly through narrow streets and village courtyards. Most lamps have gone dark. Most conversations have ended. The sounds of labor that filled the day have faded into memory. Only the river remains awake. It flows steadily through the darkness, as it has for countless generations. Beside that river, children sleep. Some dream beneath woven blankets. Some rest on simple mats laid directly upon packed earth floors. Others sleep in crowded rooms where brothers, sisters, parents, grandparents, and relatives lie close together. The world around them is quiet. For a few precious hours, expectations disappear. No tools need carrying. No lessons need memorizing. No fields require attention. Sleep becomes a small shelter from responsibility. Above them, stars cover the sky. Without modern lights, the heavens appear endless. Ancient children often knew those stars well. They saw them every clear night. They watched them rise and move across the seasons. They listened to adults tell stories connected to the sky. The stars became part of daily life, just as much as the river or the fields. Hours pass. Slowly. Peacefully. Eventually the eastern horizon begins to pale. The darkness softens. The first signs of dawn arrive. A few birds call from palm trees. The village stirs once more. Another day is beginning. In a settlement not far from the river, a young boy opens his eyes. The room is dim. Cool air still lingers from the night. He listens for a moment. The sounds are familiar. Someone moving outside. The faint scrape of a grinding stone. A donkey shifting nearby. A door opening. Every morning begins with these small sounds. They form the rhythm of life. The boy sits up and stretches. Soon he will join the others. Soon work will begin. His family belongs to a large estate that produces grain for officials and temple storehouses. The estate feels almost like a small town. Workers live together. Fields stretch outward in every direction. Storehouses stand near workshops. Administrators keep records. Overseers organize labor. Everything functions according to established routines. The boy has never known anything different. To him, this arrangement feels normal. As ordinary as the sunrise. Outside, the air smells fresh. Moisture from the river lingers across the fields. For a short time, before the heat arrives, the world feels comfortable. Workers gather. Children gather too. Some carry baskets. Others bring tools. Everyone prepares for the day ahead. The boy follows his father toward the fields. Their path winds between irrigation channels. Water moves slowly through narrow ditches. Small birds dart between reeds. The rising sun paints the landscape with soft gold light. For a moment, the world feels almost still. Then the day's labor begins. Nearby, another child begins her morning inside a temple community. The temple walls rise above the surrounding settlement. Massive stone columns stand quietly against the brightening sky. The girl wakes in a room shared with several other young helpers. Their sleeping mats lie neatly arranged. The room is simple. Practical. Clean. Life inside the temple follows patterns that rarely change. Every task has its place. Every hour has its purpose. The girl has grown accustomed to this structure. She knows where to go. She knows what is expected. She understands the daily rhythm without needing instruction. Soon she joins others carrying water from storage areas. The jars are heavy. The work requires balance and patience. Adults move beside her, completing their own tasks. Gardeners tend plants. Scribes organize records. Servants prepare supplies. Priests move quietly through shaded corridors. The temple feels like a living machine. Each person contributes something. Even children play their part. The morning continues. Sunlight grows stronger. Courtyards fill with activity. Voices echo softly from stone walls. Throughout Egypt, countless institutions depend upon routine. Large systems cannot function without consistency. Children raised inside those systems learn consistency from an early age. Wake at the same time. Perform the same duties. Follow familiar paths. Observe familiar faces. The repetition shapes their understanding of the world. Some children spend years training for specialized roles. A young student sits cross-legged inside a scribal school. The room remains cool despite the rising temperature outside. Light enters through narrow openings. Dust floats through thin beams of sunlight. The teacher speaks calmly. The students listen. Writing exercises begin. Reed pens scratch against surfaces. Symbols appear. Mistakes are corrected. Exercises are repeated. Again. And again. Patience matters. Accuracy matters. A careless record can create confusion. An incorrect number can affect supplies. An incomplete report can create problems for administrators. Children training as scribes learn these lessons early. The work may appear quiet, but it carries weight. The student bends over his practice materials. His hand grows tired. His back grows stiff. Yet he continues. Outside, workers cross sunlit courtyards. Inside, the lesson moves forward. Hour by hour. Beyond the temple walls, another kind of learning is taking place. A young fisherman stands beside his uncle near the riverbank. The water glimmers beneath the morning sun. Boats drift gently nearby. The boy watches every movement. How the nets are folded. How the ropes are secured. How the currents behave. No written lesson explains these things. Knowledge passes directly from person to person. Observation becomes education. Experience becomes instruction. The river itself becomes a teacher. Many children throughout ancient Egypt learn this way. They watch. They imitate. They practice. They improve. Skills pass quietly across generations. The morning heat slowly builds. The comfortable coolness of dawn begins disappearing. Workers wipe sweat from their brows. Shadows shorten. The sun climbs higher. By midday, the heat feels heavy. Almost physical. Stone walls radiate warmth. Dusty roads shimmer beneath bright sunlight. Animals seek shelter. People move more slowly. The hottest hours require endurance. A young girl helps her mother prepare food beneath a shaded shelter. The smell of grain fills the air. Hands move steadily. Dough is shaped. Ovens radiate heat. The work feels endless. Meals must be prepared every day. Without pause. Without interruption. Children raised within large households quickly learn the importance of these routines. Food does not appear by magic. It requires effort. Planning. Labor. Time. The girl watches carefully. One day she will know these tasks as well as her mother does. Not because someone formally teaches every step, but because daily repetition gradually transforms observation into skill. Nearby, younger children play briefly in the shade. Their games are simple. Small objects become toys. Bits of wood become animals. Lines drawn in dust become imaginary roads. Even within structured lives, children find opportunities for play. The moments may be brief. The toys may be humble. Yet imagination survives. Children remain children. The afternoon arrives. The sun dominates the sky. Heat settles across fields and villages alike. Work continues where necessary. Other activities slow. Many people retreat into shaded areas. A servant boy rests near a cool interior wall. His duties will resume soon. For now, he enjoys a few moments of stillness. He watches light move slowly across the floor. He listens to distant conversations. Somewhere outside, a bird calls. The atmosphere feels sleepy. Heavy. Quiet. These pauses become important. Ancient life often demands physical effort. Bodies need recovery. Workers need rest. Children need rest too. Even the busiest systems cannot eliminate human exhaustion. As afternoon slowly passes, shadows begin returning. The worst heat retreats. People emerge from cooler spaces. Work resumes with renewed energy. The village comes alive once more. Along the river, fishermen prepare evening nets. In workshops, craftsmen complete unfinished projects. Farmers inspect irrigation channels before nightfall. Children assist wherever needed. A young boy helps carry bundles of reeds. Another organizes storage jars. A girl delivers supplies between buildings. Small responsibilities fill the hours. Responsibility arrives gradually. Rarely all at once. Each year brings new expectations. Each season brings additional knowledge. Children slowly become workers. The transition often feels so gradual that no one notices exactly when it happens. One day a child follows instructions. Years later that same person gives them. Life moves forward quietly. Almost unnoticed. As evening approaches, the landscape softens. Golden light spreads across the fields. Palm leaves sway gently in the breeze. The Nile reflects the colors of sunset. Orange. Gold. Rose. The day's labor begins winding down. Workers return home. Families gather. Cooking fires appear once again. The familiar smells of evening meals drift through the air. Bread. Vegetables. Fish. Simple foods. Comforting foods. Children sit beside parents and grandparents. Stories are shared. Advice is offered. Memories are repeated. Knowledge moves from one generation to the next through conversation as much as through labor. A boy listens while an elder speaks about seasons long past. About floods. Harvests. Journeys along the river. The stories feel old. Yet they remain important. History survives through memory. Children become its listeners. One day they will become its tellers. The sky darkens gradually. The first stars appear. The temperature becomes pleasant once more. A temple student finishes his final task and steps into an open courtyard. Above him stretches the night sky. The massive temple walls stand silent around him. The day is finally over. For a few moments, there is nothing to do. Nowhere to hurry. No lesson to complete. Only quiet. Only stillness. He looks upward. Perhaps he notices familiar constellations. Perhaps he thinks about tomorrow. Perhaps he simply enjoys the cool air. Across Egypt, countless children experience similar moments. Small pauses between work and sleep. Between responsibility and rest. Moments too ordinary for official records. Yet perhaps those moments mattered most. The Nile continues flowing through the darkness. The fields rest beneath the stars. The workshops grow silent. The temple courtyards empty. Families settle onto sleeping mats. The world becomes quieter, softer, calmer. And as another ancient night spreads gently across the valley, children raised within systems of labor, service, learning, and tradition close their eyes once again beneath the peaceful sky of Egypt. The Nile moves through the darkness with quiet certainty. Its waters do not hurry. They do not pause. They simply continue. For thousands of years, generation after generation has listened to this same river flowing through the night. Children have fallen asleep beside it. Workers have rested after long days beside it. Entire systems have risen and endured because of it. Tonight, the river glimmers beneath moonlight. The villages along its banks have grown quiet once again. Most lamps are extinguished. Most doors are closed. The warm breath of the desert drifts softly across the valley. Palm trees sway gently in the darkness. The sounds of daytime labor have faded into silence. Only a few distant voices remain. Soon those too disappear. A young boy sleeps inside a crowded home near a grain storehouse. His family has worked for the estate for as long as anyone remembers. His father works in the fields. His older sister helps manage household tasks. His mother spends much of her day preparing food, carrying water, and caring for younger children. Everyone contributes something. The estate depends upon many hands. Even children understand this. Yet while he sleeps, those responsibilities feel far away. Dreams replace routines. For a few hours, childhood belongs entirely to itself. Outside, the stars continue their slow journey overhead. The night grows deeper. Hours pass. Eventually, the first pale light of dawn begins to touch the eastern horizon. A cool breeze arrives from the river. Birds stir among the reeds. The darkness slowly retreats. Another day begins. The boy wakes before the sun appears. The room remains dim. Around him, family members begin rising. There is no need for alarms. The rhythms of life have become internal. Bodies know when to wake. Generations of routine have shaped these habits. He sits up and listens. Already he can hear movement outside. Footsteps on packed earth. A donkey shifting nearby. The creak of a wooden cart. The village is awakening. Soon everyone will be moving. The morning feels calm. For a short time, before labor begins, there is a feeling of quiet possibility. Outside, the air carries the scent of damp soil. The Nile has left traces of moisture across nearby fields. The sky brightens gradually. Soft colors spread above the horizon. Workers gather. Children gather too. The estate comes alive. A group of boys walks together toward storage buildings. Their tasks are simple today. They will help move baskets. Carry messages. Assist older workers where needed. None of the tasks seem extraordinary. Yet these small jobs help support a much larger system. A single basket may seem unimportant. A single message may seem small. But multiplied across hundreds of workers and many years, these efforts sustain entire communities. Children learn this lesson without anyone formally explaining it. They see it every day. Meanwhile, in another part of the valley, a young girl begins her morning within the walls of a temple compound. The temple stands silent against the dawn sky. Its stone walls glow softly as sunlight approaches. She steps into a courtyard carrying a clay jar. The air feels pleasant, cool, peaceful. Soon the heat will return. But for now, the morning remains gentle. Temple life follows familiar patterns. Water must be carried. Gardens must be maintained. Storage areas must be organized. Records must be updated. Children assist wherever they can. Their responsibilities grow slowly over time. No sudden ceremony marks the transition. One season simply blends into the next. One year follows another. A child becomes older, more capable, more trusted. The process feels natural because it unfolds gradually. The girl passes through a shaded corridor. Stone beneath her sandals feels smooth from centuries of use. Many generations have walked these same paths. Many children have grown up inside these same walls. Some became scribes. Some became servants. Some became craftsmen. Others remained connected to the temple throughout their entire lives. The institution continues while individual lives come and go. As the morning advances, activity spreads across the compound. Workers greet one another. Tools are gathered. Tasks begin. The sound of sweeping echoes softly through courtyards. Birds flutter between garden trees. The smell of fresh water and growing plants fills the air. Inside a nearby room, young students settle into their lessons. The atmosphere is quiet, focused, peaceful. A teacher moves slowly among them. No one rushes. The pace remains steady. The students practice writing symbols they have copied many times before. Their hands move carefully. Mistakes happen. Corrections follow. The process repeats. Learning often requires repetition. Ancient education is no different. A student traces the same symbol again and again. At times the work feels tedious. At times frustrating. Yet skill grows slowly through patience. Years later, many will remember these rooms. The cool shade. The smell of ink. The quiet concentration. The endless practice. Outside, the sun rises higher. Its warmth spreads across the landscape. Fields brighten beneath the growing light. Workers move steadily through rows of crops. A young boy follows his father through an irrigation channel. The water flows gently beside them. The boy watches carefully. His father explains where blockages sometimes appear. How water should be directed. When adjustments are necessary. These lessons are practical. Immediate. Important. The success of a harvest depends upon understanding water. In Egypt, water is life. Children learn this early. The river determines everything. Food supplies. Work schedules. Community stability. The river's behavior influences entire systems. A child may not understand economics or administration. But they understand whether the water has arrived. Whether fields appear healthy. Whether crops are growing well. The lessons come through experience. The morning continues. The sun grows stronger. Dust rises from roads. Merchants travel between settlements. Donkeys carry supplies. Boats move along the river. The ancient world feels busy now. Alive with motion. Children observe all of it. Every road offers new sights. Every marketplace offers new sounds. A young servant girl accompanies an older worker through a crowded market area. The smells arrive first. Fresh bread. Fish. Vegetables. Animals. Clay ovens. Dust warmed by sunlight. The market is one of the few places where many different parts of society briefly overlap. Farmers arrive with produce. Fishermen bring catches. Craftsmen display goods. Officials pass through on business. Children raised within systems sometimes catch glimpses of worlds beyond their own routines here. The girl watches everything. Bright pottery. Bundles of reeds. Stacks of grain. Voices negotiating prices. People from distant settlements. The experience feels exciting in a quiet way. Not dramatic. Simply different. A break from familiar surroundings. Soon she returns to her duties. Yet the images remain in her memory. The afternoon eventually arrives. Heat settles heavily across the valley. The sky appears almost white above the brightest areas of sunlight. Stone walls radiate warmth. Workers seek shade whenever possible. Many activities slow. Energy is conserved. Inside homes and compounds, children rest briefly. Some sit quietly. Some help with indoor tasks. Others simply watch the world through doorways and shaded windows. A young boy leans against a cool wall inside a workshop. The room smells faintly of wood and stone dust. Outside, craftsmen continue working. Inside, the boy enjoys a few moments of relief from the heat. He studies the tools hanging nearby. Each tool has a purpose. Each mark upon the handle tells a story of use. Many children spend years observing skilled workers before mastering similar tasks themselves. Knowledge often enters through the eyes long before it reaches the hands. The afternoon drifts forward slowly. Heat creates a sleepy atmosphere. Even conversations become softer. The village seems to breathe more slowly. The river remains steady. Untroubled. Patient. Its waters continue moving through the landscape. As they always have. As they always will for generations yet to come. Eventually the sun begins descending. The light changes. The harsh brightness softens. Shadows lengthen across roads and courtyards. A sense of relief spreads quietly through the community. The hardest hours are ending. Workers straighten their backs. Children finish final tasks. Evening approaches. Near the riverbank, fishermen prepare for another outing. A young boy helps untangle nets. His fingers move carefully through the rope. The task requires patience. Nearby, older fishermen inspect boats. The water reflects the warm colors of sunset. Gold spreads across the surface. Then orange. Then deep red. The scene feels calm. Beautiful. Yet entirely ordinary to those who live beside it. This beauty appears every evening. The river offers it freely. Families begin preparing meals. Cooking fires appear across the settlement. Thin streams of smoke rise toward the darkening sky. The familiar scent of bread drifts through the air. Children return home. Tired from the day's responsibilities. The evening meal becomes a moment of connection. People gather. Stories are exchanged. Questions are asked. Advice is shared. These conversations shape childhood just as much as labor does. A young girl listens while older relatives discuss harvest expectations. She may not fully understand every detail. Yet she absorbs more than adults realize. Children are often listening, watching, learning. Even when they appear distracted. Night approaches slowly. The first stars emerge. The heat fades. Cool air returns from the river. The village becomes quieter. One task after another comes to an end. One voice after another grows silent. A temple student steps outside before sleep. The courtyard around him is empty now. Moonlight rests upon stone surfaces. The air feels comfortable. Still. He pauses for a moment and looks upward. The stars seem endless. Ancient. Familiar. Above him stretches the same sky seen by countless children before him. Children raised by temples. By estates. By workshops. By fishing communities. By households connected to systems larger than themselves. Different lives. Different beauties. Yet beneath the same stars. Beside the same river. The Nile continues flowing quietly through the darkness. The palm trees sway softly in the night breeze. Families settle onto sleeping mats. The last lamps flicker and disappear. And across the valley, another generation of children drifts gently into sleep, held within the routines, traditions, and institutions that shape the ancient world around them. The valley rests beneath a blanket of stars. Far beyond the villages, beyond the cultivated fields, beyond the narrow green ribbon of life that follows the Nile, the desert stretches into darkness. The sands remain silent. The rocky hills stand motionless beneath the moonlight. From a distance, the settlements along the river appear small. Tiny islands of life surrounded by vast spaces. Yet within those settlements, countless lives continue unfolding. Countless routines continue repeating. And among those lives are children growing up inside systems they did not create, but which shape nearly every part of their world. The night feels peaceful. A cool breeze drifts across rooftops made from mud brick and timber. Palm leaves rustle softly. Somewhere a boat rope taps gently against a wooden dock. The sound is slow and rhythmic. The river answers with quiet ripples. Most people are asleep now. Workers rest after another demanding day. Their hands are tired. Their feet are sore. Their bodies welcome the darkness. Children sleep too. Some curl beneath simple linen coverings. Others sleep without blankets during the warmer months. The rooms around them are familiar. The walls carry the scent of clay and earth. The floors hold traces of the day's warmth. For a few hours, everyone shares the same stillness. Even the busiest institutions pause. The temple courtyards grow empty. The workshops become silent. The storehouses stand closed. The records remain untouched until morning. Night grants rest to all. A young boy sleeps inside a workers' settlement connected to a large building project. The project has existed for years. Perhaps it will continue for years more. Stone is cut, transported, shaped, placed. The work requires organization, planning, coordination. Many families live near the site because their labor is needed. Children raised in these settlements grow up surrounded by construction. Stone dust settles on clothing. The sound of tools echoes through the air. Large structures slowly rise before their eyes. To them, such sights seem ordinary. Tomorrow, the boy will wake and see unfinished walls exactly where he saw them yesterday. Progress happens slowly. Almost invisibly. Only years later will the changes seem remarkable. The stars continue turning overhead. Hours pass. Gradually the horizon begins to brighten. A faint gray light appears in the east. Birds stir among the reeds. The coolness of night lingers for a little longer. The river catches the first hints of dawn. Morning returns. The boy opens his eyes. The room remains dim. For a moment he lies still, listening. Outside, he hears familiar sounds. A worker clearing his throat. Footsteps crossing packed earth. The distant bray of a donkey. The world is waking. Soon the entire settlement will be moving. He rises and joins the others. Morning meals are simple. Bread. Perhaps onions. Maybe dates when available. Nothing extravagant. Just enough to prepare for the hours ahead. Food is valued because obtaining it requires labor. Children learn this truth early. Every loaf of bread carries a story of effort. Fields planted. Grain harvested. Grain transported. Grain ground. Dough prepared. Ovens heated. Many hands contribute to every meal. As sunlight spreads across the landscape, workers begin organizing for the day. The construction site slowly comes alive. Teams gather equipment. Supervisors discuss assignments. Stone blocks wait where they were left yesterday. The boy's responsibilities remain small. He carries supplies. Delivers messages. Fetches water. Yet even these modest duties make him feel connected to the larger work around him. Children often seek a sense of usefulness. The systems that surround them provide opportunities for that feeling. Not through grand achievements, but through simple contributions repeated every day. Elsewhere, along a quieter section of the Nile, another child begins her morning near a fishing community. The river lies calm beneath the early sunlight. Mist rises gently from the water. Boats rest near the shore. Fishing nets dry on wooden frames. The smell of water and reeds fills the air. The girl helps her family prepare for the day. Her father and older brothers inspect equipment. Her mother organizes supplies. The community depends heavily upon the river. Fish provide food. Boats provide transportation. The water connects settlements separated by many miles. Children raised beside the Nile develop a close relationship with it. They learn its sounds, its moods, its seasonal changes. The river becomes a constant companion throughout childhood. This morning, the girl walks along the bank carrying a small basket. The path feels cool beneath her sandals. Birds call from nearby reeds. The world seems calm and unhurried. These peaceful moments often occur before the heat arrives. Before work intensifies. Before the day becomes demanding. Many children treasure these quiet morning hours without ever putting that feeling into words. At the same time, deep within a temple complex farther south, lessons are beginning once again. Young students gather in shaded rooms. The stone walls help keep the interior cool. Outside, sunlight grows brighter. Inside, concentration fills the air. A teacher speaks softly. Students listen. The day's exercises begin. Some practice reading. Others practice writing. A few memorize passages they have repeated many times before. Learning requires patience. Progress arrives slowly. Children sometimes become restless. Their attention wanders. Their minds drift toward the sounds outside. Toward birds in the courtyard. Toward workers passing nearby. Toward the bright world beyond the walls. Yet the lessons continue. Day after day. Month after month. Year after year. The institution shapes not only their education but also their habits. Their routines. Their expectations. In many ways, childhood becomes preparation. Preparation for future responsibilities. Future roles. Future obligations. As the morning advances, the heat begins its steady return. Sunlight pours across fields and roads. Dust rises beneath busy feet. Markets become active. Merchants arrange goods beneath shaded coverings. Travelers arrive from neighboring settlements. Voices fill the air. Children often find markets fascinating. The variety feels endless. Different foods. Different tools. Different clothing. Different accents. A young servant boy follows an official through one such market. His task is simple. Carry items. Stay close. Pay attention. Yet his eyes move constantly. He notices everything. A potter displaying newly fired jars. A fisherman offering fresh catches. A merchant unloading baskets from a donkey. Children are natural observers. They gather information without realizing it. Small details become memories. Years later, they may recall these scenes with surprising clarity. The market itself forms part of a larger system. Goods move from villages to towns. From farms to storehouses. From workshops to households. The entire network depends upon countless individuals performing ordinary tasks. Children witness these connections every day. Gradually they begin understanding how their world functions. Not through formal explanations, but through observation. By midday, the heat grows intense. Shadows shrink. The air feels heavy. Workers seek shelter whenever possible. Activity slows. Even animals become quieter. The hottest hours encourage patience. A young girl sits beneath a shaded awning while helping prepare vegetables for the evening meal. Nearby, older relatives work steadily. Conversation comes and goes. Nobody rushes. The heat discourages haste. The girl listens to stories she has heard many times before. Stories about floods, harvests, relatives long gone, journeys along the Nile. Ancient childhood often includes this repeated storytelling. The same memories pass through generations. Again and again. Each telling strengthens the connection between past and present. The girl may not realize it now, but one day she will repeat these same stories to younger listeners. Knowledge survives through repetition. Traditions survive through memory. The afternoon drifts by slowly. The world feels sleepy beneath the bright sun. Inside workshops, craftsmen continue working carefully. Inside temples, records are updated. Inside homes, food preparation continues. Everywhere, systems remain active. Yet children occasionally find moments that belong only to themselves. A boy pauses beside an irrigation channel. The water flows quietly. Dragonflies hover above the surface. Palm trees sway in the distance. For a few minutes, there are no instructions. No responsibilities. No expectations. Only observation. Only stillness. Such moments are easy to overlook. History rarely records them. Yet they may form some of the most meaningful parts of childhood. The memory of sunlight on water. The sound of wind through reeds. The feeling of cool shade after hours of heat. These small experiences stay with people. Sometimes for an entire lifetime. Eventually the afternoon softens. The sun begins descending. The harsh brightness fades. Long shadows stretch across the fields. Relief spreads through the community. Workers finish final tasks. Children complete assignments. The pace of life shifts once again. Evening approaches. Along the riverbank, boats return from the day's work. Nets are gathered. Supplies are unloaded. Voices drift across the water. The setting sun paints the Nile in gold and copper. The scene feels peaceful. Comforting. Familiar. Families prepare meals. The smell of bread drifts through the air. Cooking fires flicker beside homes. Children gather near parents and grandparents. The day's work is over. Now comes conversation. Shared food. Shared stories. Shared silence. A temple student sits with several friends beneath an open sky. They speak quietly. Nothing important. Nothing historical. Simply the small conversations that children have always shared. Moments of friendship exist even within highly structured lives. Children find ways to connect. To laugh softly. To exchange observations. To imagine futures. Human nature remains remarkably constant across time. The stars begin appearing overhead. One by one. The air cools. The river darkens. The sounds of labor fade away. Soon the villages will sleep again. The workshops will fall silent. The temple corridors will empty. The markets will disappear into darkness. And children raised by the systems of ancient Egypt will settle onto their sleeping mats once more, listening to the distant whisper of the Nile as another peaceful night settles across the ancient world. The Nile whispers softly through the darkness. Moonlight rests upon the water like a thin sheet of silver. The river does not seem concerned with the passing of years. It flows as it always has, moving between fields, villages, temples, workshops, and homes. Beside its banks, thousands of people sleep. Their work is finished for now. Their responsibilities have been set aside until dawn. The night belongs to quiet breathing. To dreams. To rest. The air feels cooler than it did during the day. A welcome relief after long hours beneath the Egyptian sun. Palm trees sway gently. The reeds along the riverbank rustle softly. Far away, somewhere beyond the cultivated land, the desert waits beneath the stars. Its silence feels endless. A young girl sleeps inside a modest mud brick home near a temple estate. Her family has lived here for many years. Perhaps generations. The walls around her are simple but sturdy. A clay jar stands near the doorway. A basket rests against the wall. Everything has its place. Everything serves a purpose. The room is quiet except for the slow breathing of family members nearby. Children in ancient Egypt rarely slept alone. Families lived close together. Shared spaces were part of everyday life. The sounds of relatives sleeping nearby often brought comfort. The girl shifts slightly in her sleep. Tomorrow will bring another familiar day. Another series of tasks. Another collection of small responsibilities. Yet for now, she remains completely at peace. Outside, the stars continue shining overhead. The hours pass. Slowly. Calmly. The eastern horizon eventually begins to lighten. The darkness grows thinner. Birds wake among the reeds. The first hints of morning arrive. The river reflects pale colors from the approaching dawn. Another day begins. The girl opens her eyes. For a moment she remains still, listening. Already the world is stirring. Someone walks outside. A door opens. A rooster calls in the distance. The familiar sounds signal the start of another day. She rises and joins the household. Morning routines unfold almost automatically. Water is collected. Food is prepared. Supplies are organized. Everyone knows their role. Everyone understands what needs to be done. Children raised within organized systems often learn routines long before they understand their larger purpose. The rhythm itself becomes part of life. Outside, cool air still lingers. The sun has not yet become harsh, Workers move through the settlement. Some head toward fields. Others toward workshops. Others toward temple buildings. The pathways begin filling with quiet activity. The girl carries a small basket as she follows an older worker toward a storage area. The task is simple. Yet she approaches it with care. Children often take pride in responsibilities trusted to them. Even small jobs can feel important. The storage building stands nearby. Its thick walls help protect supplies from heat and moisture. Inside are jars, baskets, tools, and food reserves carefully organized by workers and administrators. Large institutions depend upon careful management. Without planning, shortages can occur. Without records, confusion can spread. Children raised around these systems witness organization everywhere. They may not understand every detail, but they see the patterns. The order. The structure. The routines. As the morning brightens, life becomes busier. The temple complex awakens fully. Courtyards fill with activity. Gardeners water plants. Servants sweep pathways. Scribes begin reviewing records. The smell of damp earth rises from carefully maintained gardens. Birdsong echoes through shaded spaces. The atmosphere feels peaceful despite the steady work. Many children spend years inside environments like these. The buildings themselves become familiar companions. The walls. The columns. The pathways. The pools reflecting sunlight. Each feature becomes woven into memory. Years later, many adults would likely remember these places with remarkable clarity. A particular doorway. A shaded courtyard. A favorite tree. Small details often remain long after larger events fade. Elsewhere, near the river, a young boy begins his morning beside a fishing dock. The Nile lies calm beneath the early sunlight. A thin mist hovers above parts of the water. Boats rest quietly against wooden posts. The smell of fish, river water, and damp reeds fills the air. The boy helps inspect nets alongside older family members. He watches carefully. Some sections require repair. Others need cleaning. Every task matters. A damaged net can affect an entire day's catch. The adults explain what to look for. The boy listens. This is how many lessons are taught. Not through formal lectures. Not through books. Through participation. Through observation. Through repetition. Skills pass from one generation to another almost naturally, as though carried along by the river itself. The morning progresses. The sun climbs steadily. Its warmth spreads across the landscape. Farmers work among growing crops. Builders continue construction projects. Craftsmen shape wood, stone, and clay. Merchants travel dusty roads connecting settlements. Everywhere, people are busy. And everywhere, children are learning. A young apprentice sits inside a workshop where skilled artisans create decorative objects for wealthy households and temples. The room smells of wood shavings and dust. Light enters through a doorway left open for ventilation. The apprentice watches an older craftsman work. Every movement seems precise. Deliberate. Nothing is wasted. The craftsman has spent years developing these skills. The child understands that mastery requires patience. Progress arrives slowly. One lesson at a time. One task at a time. One day at a time. The workshop itself serves as a classroom. No formal school is necessary. The tools become teaching instruments. The materials become examples. The finished objects become goals. As the morning becomes midday, heat settles across the valley. The bright Egyptian sun dominates the sky. Workers seek shade when possible. The air feels heavier now. Movement becomes slower. Conversations grow quieter. A young servant boy carries water through a large household connected to local officials. The clay jar feels heavy. His shoulders ache slightly. Yet he continues. The household depends upon many workers performing many small tasks. Meals must be prepared. Rooms maintained. Visitors welcomed. Records organized. The system functions because everyone contributes something. Children raised within such environments quickly learn the importance of reliability. People depend upon one another. Responsibilities matter. Trust matters. The boy delivers the water and pauses briefly in a shaded corridor. Cool air drifts through the passage. For a moment, he enjoys the relief. He watches sunlight move slowly across a distant wall. The simple scene feels calming. Ancient childhood is filled with moments like this. Small pauses hidden between duties. Moments of observation. Moments of quiet. History often focuses on great rulers and monumental buildings. Yet much of life consists of these ordinary experiences. A child watching sunlight. A worker resting beneath a tree. A family sharing bread. The afternoon unfolds slowly. The heat encourages patience. Inside homes, food preparation continues. The smell of baking bread drifts through the air. Grain is ground. Dough is shaped. Ovens radiate warmth. Children help where they can. A young girl kneads dough beside her mother. Her movements are not yet perfect. Sometimes the dough sticks. Sometimes mistakes happen. But she is learning. The lesson does not feel formal. It feels natural. Part of daily life. Part of growing up. Knowledge enters through repetition. The same tasks performed day after day gradually become familiar. Eventually they become second nature. Outside, village life continues. Donkeys carry supplies. Merchants return from journeys. Children run errands for relatives. The world remains busy despite the heat. Yet as afternoon slowly turns toward evening, the atmosphere begins changing. Shadows lengthen. The sunlight softens. A sense of relief spreads across the landscape. The hardest hours are ending. Near an irrigation canal, a boy helps clear debris from the waterway. The task is simple but important. Water must continue flowing. Fields depend upon it. The canal glitters beneath the lowering sun. Dragonflies dart above the surface. The air feels cooler now. Much more comfortable. The boy pauses for a moment. He watches the water moving past. Steady. Constant. Just like the Nile itself. Perhaps he does not think deeply about it. Perhaps he simply enjoys the sight. Children often live fully in the present. A cool breeze. A moving cloud. A bird overhead. These things can be enough. Evening approaches. Across the valley, cooking fires begin appearing. Smoke rises gently into the sky. Families gather near homes. Workers return from fields and workshops. The smell of bread and cooked vegetables fills the air. Voices drift through narrow streets. Children return from errands and responsibilities. The pace of life softens. The day's labor gives way to community. A family sits together in a small courtyard. The meal is simple. Yet it feels satisfying after a long day. Conversation flows naturally. Someone tells a story. Someone shares news. Someone remembers an event from years ago. The younger children listen. Sometimes attentively. Sometimes while staring at the stars beginning to appear overhead. These evening gatherings teach lessons too. Lessons about family, community, tradition, belonging. Not every education occurs in a classroom. Many of life's most important lessons arrive through shared experiences. The sky darkens gradually. The first stars become brighter. The heat finally fades. Cool air moves through the village. A temple student steps outside before sleep. The courtyard is quiet now. Moonlight touches the stone columns. The pools reflect distant stars. The world feels peaceful. Still. Timeless. He stands for a moment and listens. The faint sound of the Nile reaches him through the darkness. Steady. Gentle. Comforting. Around him, countless other children are preparing for sleep. Children raised by estates. By temples. By workshops. By fishing communities. By households connected to systems larger than themselves. Different lives. Different routines. Yet all beneath the same ancient sky. The lamps grow dim. The conversations fade. One by one, doors close. The village settles into silence. And once again, the Nile flows quietly through the night, carrying the ancient world gently toward another peaceful dawn. The Nile continues its endless journey through the sleeping land. Its waters glide beneath the stars, passing fields of grain, clusters of mud brick homes, temple walls, fishing docks, and quiet gardens. The river never truly rests. Day and night it moves forward. Season after season. Year after year. Generation after generation. Beside it, children grow up. They learn to walk along its banks. They learn to work within the system supported by its waters. And eventually, they become adults who teach the next generation the same lessons. Tonight, however, the valley remains peaceful. The day's labor has ended. The workshops are silent. The storehouses stand closed. The markets are empty. Only the occasional sound drifts through the darkness. A distant animal. A breeze moving through palm leaves. The faint splash of water against a boat. Most people sleep deeply. The cool air feels comforting after another hot day. A young boy lies on a woven mat inside a worker settlement attached to a large estate. The room is crowded but familiar. His younger brother sleeps nearby. His parents rest against the opposite wall. The scent of baked clay and dust lingers in the air. For him, this place is home. Simple. Ordinary. Comforting. Children rarely compare their lives to distant possibilities. They simply know the world around them. The sounds. The smells. The routines. These become normal. The boy shifts slightly in his sleep. Tomorrow will look much like today. And much like yesterday. The rhythm of life moves steadily forward. Outside, the stars slowly cross the sky. The moon drifts above the river. The night deepens. Hours pass. The eastern horizon eventually begins to lighten. Darkness softens into gray. Birds awaken among the reeds. The first cool breeze of dawn moves across the valley. Another day begins. The boy wakes as the settlement stirs around him. There is no sudden rush. The day arrives gradually. People stretch. Doors open. Footsteps appear along dusty paths. The familiar cycle begins once more. Morning meals are prepared. Water is collected. Tools are gathered. Children take their places within the flow of daily life. Outside, the air still feels pleasant. The harsh heat remains several hours away. This is often the most comfortable time of day. Farmers move toward the fields. Fishermen prepare boats. Craftsmen unlock workshops. The entire valley slowly comes alive. The boy joins a small group carrying baskets toward a grain storage area. The baskets are not especially heavy. Still, the work requires attention. The path passes between low walls and narrow roads worn smooth by countless footsteps. As he walks, he notices familiar sights. A woman sweeping outside her home. A donkey waiting patiently beside a cart. Birds circling above distant fields. The world feels steady. Predictable. Many children raised within organized systems develop a strong awareness of routine. They know which sounds signal the beginning of work. Which faces appear each morning. Which tasks arrive with each season. The rhythm becomes part of their understanding of life itself. Not far away, a young girl begins her day inside a temple estate. The first sunlight touches the tops of stone columns. Long shadows stretch across quiet courtyards. The temple feels almost magical during these early hours. Not because of ceremonies. Not because of grandeur. But because of the stillness. Before the day's activity fully begins, there is a brief period of calm. The girl walks through a garden carrying a small clay container. Flowers grow beside carefully maintained pathways. Trees provide patches of shade. Birds move among the branches. The air smells fresh. Cool. Peaceful. She enjoys these moments. Though she may never speak about them, they become part of her memory. The feeling of morning light. The sound of water in a garden pool. The quiet footsteps echoing across stone. These small experiences shape childhood just as much as larger events. Soon the temple awakens. Workers arrive. Servants begin their duties. Gardeners tend plants. Scribes prepare materials. The familiar rhythm returns. The girl joins the flow of activity. Every institution depends upon many people performing many tasks. Children often begin by assisting, observing, learning. Gradually they become trusted with more responsibility. Years pass. Expectations increase. The transition feels natural because it happens slowly. Across the valley, another child spends the morning in a scribal school. The room remains shaded from the growing heat outside. Several students sit together practicing symbols. Reed pens move carefully across writing surfaces. The teacher watches patiently. Corrections are offered when necessary. The work requires concentration. A wandering mind can easily produce mistakes. The student tries his best. Yet now and then his attention drifts. He hears birds outside. Voices crossing a courtyard. The distant sound of workers moving stone. The world beyond the classroom remains interesting. Children have always possessed curious minds. Even the most disciplined students sometimes wonder what is happening elsewhere. Still, the lesson continues. Writing remains important. Records support estates. Temples. Workshops. Government offices. The kingdom depends upon information being preserved accurately. Children trained for these roles become part of that larger system. As the morning progresses, the sun climbs higher. Heat spreads across the land. Dust rises from roads. The bright sky stretches endlessly above the valley. Farmers work steadily among crops nourished by Nile water. A young boy follows his father along an irrigation channel. The water flows quietly through the ditch, reflecting sunlight, carrying life toward distant fields. The father explains how to watch for problems. A blockage here. Too much water there. Too little elsewhere. The boy listens carefully. These lessons matter. A successful harvest depends upon attention. The knowledge has been passed from parent to child for generations. The river teaches patience, observation, respect. Children who grow up near irrigation systems often understand water better than many adults elsewhere. They learn its behavior through daily contact, through seasons of watching, through years of experience. By midday, the valley grows hot. Very hot. The sunlight feels heavy upon stone walls and dusty roads. People move more slowly. Shade becomes valuable. Inside homes, courtyards provide relief. Inside temples, thick walls trap cool air. Inside workshops, workers seek any breeze that enters through open doorways. A young servant girl helps prepare food beneath a shaded shelter. The smell of grain fills the air. Bread dough is shaped carefully. Nearby, vegetables are cleaned and sorted. The work is repetitive. Yet repetition forms the foundation of many ancient skills. Children learn through doing. Again and again. A task repeated hundreds of times becomes familiar. Repeated thousands of times, it becomes mastery. The girl works quietly beside older relatives. Conversation drifts around her. Stories, advice, memories. Much learning occurs in these moments. Not formal learning. Not lessons written on papyrus. But practical wisdom passed through everyday conversation. Outside, the afternoon feels sleepy. Heat shimmers above distant fields. Animals rest beneath whatever shade they can find. Even birds seem quieter. A young apprentice sits inside a workshop where craftsmen shape wood into furniture and household items. He watches an experienced artisan smooth the surface of a wooden chest. The movements appear effortless. But the apprentice knows they are not. Skill requires time. Years of practice. Careful attention. Patience. The workshop contains many lessons. Every tool tells a story. Every finished object represents countless hours of labor. The apprentice hopes that one day his own hands will move with similar confidence. For now, he watches, learns, practices. The afternoon slowly begins to soften. The sun descends toward the western horizon. The harsh brightness fades. Shadows grow longer. The air becomes easier to breathe. A feeling of relief spreads quietly through the valley. The hardest part of the day has passed. Workers finish tasks. Children complete responsibilities. Evening approaches. Near the Nile, fishermen prepare for the return of boats. The river glows beneath golden sunlight. Its surface ripples gently. A young boy waits beside the shore. He watches the approaching boats with interest. Each carries stories from the day. Perhaps a large catch. Perhaps an ordinary one. Perhaps none at all. Life beside the river always contains uncertainty. Yet the river remains generous more often than not. The boats arrive. Nets are unloaded. Fish are sorted. Voices fill the air. The scene feels busy but calm. Familiar. Comforting. Nearby, cooking fires begin appearing throughout the settlement. Thin streams of smoke rise into the evening sky. The smell of fresh bread drifts through the air. Families gather. The workday ends. Children return home. Tired feet cross dusty roads. The evening meal offers a chance to rest. To listen. To share stories. A girl sits beside her grandmother while food is prepared. The older woman speaks about years long past. About floods that arrived higher than expected. About seasons when crops grew especially well. About relatives remembered fondly. The girl listens quietly. Some details may fade. Others will remain forever. Stories become part of childhood. Part of identity. Part of belonging. The sky darkens. The first stars appear. A cool breeze arrives from the river. The heat finally retreats. One by one, the sounds of labor disappear. Workshops close. Markets empty. Temple courtyards grow quiet. Families settle into evening routines. A young student steps outside before sleep. Above him stretches a sky filled with stars. The same stars seen by farmers, by fishermen, by servants, by scribes, by children in every corner of the valley. For a moment he simply stands and looks upward. The world feels peaceful. The river whispers in the distance. Palm trees sway softly. The night grows deeper. And across ancient Egypt, countless children raised within systems of work, learning, service, and tradition drift gently toward sleep once again beneath the endless stars of the Nile Valley. The stars shine quietly above the Nile Valley. Their light reflects across the dark river, shimmering gently whenever a breeze touches the water. The night feels calm. The heat of the day has finally faded. The fields rest in darkness. The workshops stand silent. The markets sleep. Only the river continues moving. Steady. Patient. Unchanging. For children growing up in ancient Egypt, the Nile is more than a river. It is a constant presence. A companion that remains through every season of life. They hear it in the morning. They see it during the day. They fall asleep knowing it flows nearby. Many cannot imagine a world without it. Tonight, as the river glides through the darkness, thousands of children rest beside its banks. Some sleep in crowded villages. Some sleep within temple compounds. Some sleep near fishing communities. Others sleep in settlements connected to large estates or construction projects. Their lives are different in many ways. Yet all are shaped by systems larger than themselves. Systems of labor. Systems of learning. Systems of tradition. Systems that existed long before they were born. A young girl sleeps beneath a simple linen covering inside a modest home. Her day has been long. She helped prepare food, collected water, watched younger children, assisted with small household tasks. Nothing unusual. Nothing extraordinary. Just the ordinary work that fills everyday life. Her hands are tired. Her feet are sore. Sleep arrives easily. Outside, the village remains still. The moon drifts slowly across the sky. Palm trees cast long shadows across dusty pathways. Hours pass peacefully. The darkness slowly begins to fade. A faint glow appears in the east. Birds awaken among the reeds. The river reflects pale morning colors. Another day begins. The girl opens her eyes. The room remains quiet. Most of the household is only beginning to stir. For a moment she listens to the familiar sounds of dawn. A distant animal. Footsteps outside. The soft movement of someone preparing the morning meal. The sounds feel comforting because they never change very much. Routine creates a sense of stability. Children often find comfort in knowing what comes next. Soon she rises and begins preparing for the day. Outside, cool air lingers across the settlement. The sun has not yet grown strong. Workers move along dusty roads carrying baskets, tools, and supplies. The village slowly comes to life. A few children walk together toward a nearby well. They carry small containers. The task is familiar. Water is needed every day. Every household depends upon it. Every institution depends upon it. Without water, nothing functions. The children speak quietly as they walk. Their conversation is simple. Ordinary. The kinds of small exchanges children have shared throughout history. For a few moments, responsibility feels lighter when it is shared. Nearby, a temple estate is beginning another day. The first sunlight touches tall stone walls. Courtyards glow softly beneath the morning sky. Servants sweep pathways. Gardeners inspect plants. Scribes organize writing materials. The temple gradually awakens. A young boy crosses an open courtyard carrying a basket of supplies. The stone beneath his sandals still feels cool from the night. He enjoys this time of day. The world seems peaceful before the heat arrives. Before the noise of work grows louder. Before responsibilities fill every hour. As he walks, he notices birds gathering near a pool. The water reflects the sky perfectly. For a moment he pauses. Just long enough to watch. Then he continues. Childhood often contains these small pauses. Brief moments of observation hidden between tasks. History rarely notices them. Yet they may be among the most meaningful memories people carry throughout life. The morning progresses. The sun climbs higher. Warmth spreads across the valley. Fields brighten beneath the growing light. Farmers work steadily among rows of crops. A young boy follows his mother through a section of cultivated land. She points toward plants needing attention. He listens carefully. The lessons seem simple. Yet they are important. Knowing when crops need water. Knowing when they are healthy. Knowing when they are ready for harvest. These skills help sustain entire communities. Children raised in agricultural systems learn such knowledge gradually. A little each season. A little each year. No single lesson teaches everything. Understanding grows slowly. Like the crops themselves. Farther along the river, fishing boats move across calm water. The morning breeze creates small ripples on the surface. A young girl helps untangle rope beside the shore. Her fingers move carefully. Nearby, older family members prepare nets. The work feels ordinary. Routine. Yet she takes pride in doing it well. Children often want to contribute. To feel useful. To know they are helping. The fishing community depends upon cooperation. Everyone plays a role. Even the youngest members contribute where they can. As the morning continues, life grows busier. Merchants appear on roads connecting settlements. Donkeys carry supplies. Boats transport goods along the river. Messages travel between estates and administrative centers. The ancient world is constantly moving. And children observe all of it. A young servant boy accompanies an official on a short journey between settlements. The road is dusty. The sun grows warmer with every passing hour. They walk steadily. Along the way, the boy sees farmers working fields. Children carrying water. Workers repairing a wall. Each scene feels familiar. Yet every journey reveals something new. Different villages. Different faces. Different rhythms. Travel offers glimpses beyond one's immediate world. Even short trips can feel significant. For children whose lives are often structured by routine, new surroundings can leave lasting impressions. By midday, the valley grows hot. Very hot. The sunlight feels almost heavy. Stone walls absorb warmth. Dust rises beneath every step. Many people seek shade whenever possible. Activity slows. Patience becomes necessary. Inside a workshop, a young apprentice watches an older craftsman shape clay into pottery. The room feels warm despite open doorways. The potter's hands move smoothly, confidently. Years of experience guide every motion. The apprentice studies carefully. He notices how pressure changes the shape, how moisture affects the clay, how patience matters more than speed. The lesson unfolds without formal instruction. Observation remains one of the most powerful teachers. Many children spend years learning this way. Watching, practicing, improving, slowly becoming skilled themselves. Elsewhere, inside a cool temple room, young students continue their writing exercises. The atmosphere remains quiet. Only the soft scratch of reed pens breaks the silence. A student bends over his work. His hand grows tired. Yet he continues. The symbols must be correct. The records must be accurate. Writing supports the administration of estates, temples, and government offices. Children trained in these skills occupy a unique place within society. Their work may not involve fields or fishing boats. Yet it remains essential. Every system depends upon information. Every institution depends upon records. The afternoon arrives. Heat settles heavily across the land. People move more slowly now. Even conversations seem softer. A young girl sits beneath a shaded shelter helping prepare grain. The repetitive motion feels almost soothing. Nearby, older relatives speak quietly. Stories drift through the warm air. Stories about floods. About harvests. About family members long gone. The girl listens while working. Much of ancient education happens this way. Knowledge woven into ordinary moments. Wisdom carried through conversation. Lessons hidden inside stories. The afternoon passes slowly. Outside, dragonflies hover above irrigation channels. Birds rest among palm trees. The river continues flowing steadily. A boy pauses beside the water during a brief break from work. He watches sunlight sparkle across the surface. The scene feels peaceful. Simple. Timeless. Perhaps he thinks about tomorrow. Perhaps he thinks about nothing at all. Not every moment needs purpose. Sometimes observation is enough. Sometimes stillness is enough. Eventually the sunlight begins to soften. The harsh brightness of midday fades. Long shadows stretch across fields and roads. A sense of relief spreads through the valley. The hardest hours have passed. Workers begin finishing tasks. Children complete responsibilities. The pace of life changes once again. Evening approaches. Fishing boats return toward shore. Farmers leave the fields. Craftsmen organize tools before closing workshops. The smell of cooking fires begins drifting through the air. Families gather near homes. A young girl helps carry bread from an oven. The warm loaf fills the air with a comforting scent. Nearby, children laugh softly while chasing one another through a courtyard. The moment is brief. Soon evening responsibilities return. Yet these small moments of play remain important. Even within highly structured lives, Children find opportunities for joy. The sun sinks lower. Gold light spreads across the Nile. The river glows like polished metal. Voices soften. The day winds down. Families share meals. Stories are exchanged. Memories are repeated. Advice passes from one generation to the next. Children listen. Sometimes closely. Sometimes while staring upward as stars begin appearing overhead. The night returns gradually. The air cools. The first lamps flicker in doorways. Temple courtyards become quiet. Workshops close. Markets disappear into darkness. A young temple student steps outside before sleep. He looks toward the river. The water is difficult to see now. Yet he can hear it. A soft whisper carried by the night breeze. The sound feels familiar. Comforting. The stars shine above him. The same stars seen by every child throughout the valley. Children raised by estates. By temples. By workshops. By fishing communities. By systems that guide their lives from one day to the next. The night deepens. Voices fade. Doors close. Families settle onto sleeping mats. And beneath the endless sky of ancient Egypt, another peaceful night gently wraps itself around the children of the Nile. The Nile drifts through the darkness like a quiet ribbon of silver. Its waters reflect the stars above, breaking their reflections into countless shimmering pieces. The river seems calm tonight. Almost motionless. Yet beneath the surface, the current continues its patient journey toward distant horizons. For the people of ancient Egypt, this steady movement feels familiar. It has always been there. Parents heard it when they were children. Grandparents heard it before them. Generation after generation has fallen asleep beside the same river. Tonight is no different. The villages along its banks have settled into silence. The workshops stand empty. The fields rest beneath the moonlight. The day's heat has disappeared, leaving behind cool air that drifts gently through narrow streets and open courtyards. Children sleep throughout the valley. Some dream beside fishing docks. Some rest within temple compounds. Others sleep inside homes connected to farms, estates, and workshops. Each child belongs to a different world. Yet all share the same night sky. The same river breeze. The same quiet hours before dawn. A young boy sleeps near a settlement of craftsmen. His father works with stone. His older cousin shapes wooden tools. Several neighboring families are connected to the same workshop community. The sounds of labor fill their days. Hammering. Scraping. Cutting. Measuring. The noises are so familiar that the boy barely notices them anymore. To him, they are simply part of life. Now, however, the workshop is silent. The tools rest where they were left. The dust settles. The boy sleeps peacefully. Tomorrow the sounds will return. But not yet. For now, the night remains gentle. Hours pass quietly. The stars slowly shift across the heavens. The moon sinks lower. Eventually a faint glow begins appearing in the east. The first sign of morning. The darkness softens. Birds stir among the reeds. The Nile catches the pale colors of approaching dawn. Another day begins. The boy opens his eyes. The room feels cool. Outside, the world is only beginning to wake. He hears distant footsteps. A door opening nearby. The low murmur of early conversation. Morning always arrives gradually. There is no sudden beginning. Life simply starts moving again. One person wakes. Then another. Then another. Soon the entire settlement is alive. The boy steps outside. Fresh air greets him. The sky above the eastern horizon glows softly with pink and gold. For a few moments, everything feels peaceful. These early hours often become treasured parts of the day. The heat has not yet arrived. The roads remain quiet. The world seems calm and full of possibility. Nearby, workers begin preparing for the day's tasks. Tools are gathered. Supplies are organized. Children join in where they can. The boy carries a small bundle toward the workshop. His task is simple. Yet he performs it carefully. Children often learn responsibility through small duties. A little trust leads to a little more trust. One task leads to another. Year after year, capability grows. The workshop gradually comes to life. Doors open. Sunlight enters. Craftsmen arrive. The familiar sounds return. Wood is shaped. Stone is measured. Plans are discussed. The boy watches closely. Observation remains one of the most important forms of learning. Long before children become skilled workers themselves, they spend years simply watching. Watching hands move. Watching problems being solved. Watching routines unfold. Knowledge enters quietly through the eyes. Elsewhere along the Nile, a young girl begins her day near a farming settlement. The fields stretch outward beneath the growing sunlight. Green crops sway gently in the morning breeze. Irrigation channels carry water across the landscape. The sight is beautiful in a quiet way. Orderly. Peaceful. Productive. The girl walks beside her grandmother. Together they move toward a section of cultivated land. The older woman points out small details. A plant growing well. Another needing attention. An area where water has pooled. These observations seem ordinary. Yet they contain years of experience. Children raised within agricultural systems absorb countless lessons this way. Not through formal instruction. Through daily exposure. Through conversation. Through repetition. The morning grows brighter. The sun climbs steadily. Throughout the valley, activity increases. Merchants travel dusty roads. Boats move along the river. Farmers work among crops. Craftsmen continue projects begun days, months, or even years earlier. Large systems remain in motion. And children move within those systems. Learning. Helping. Growing. A young student sits inside a temple school. The room feels cool compared to the warming air outside. The walls are thick. The light enters softly through narrow openings. Around him, other students practice writing. Their concentration fills the room. The teacher walks slowly among them, offering guidance, correcting mistakes, encouraging patience. The student carefully copies symbols. Each mark requires attention. The work can be tiring, sometimes repetitive. Yet it also offers moments of quiet satisfaction. A line written correctly. A difficult exercise completed. Small achievements matter. Children have always felt pride when mastering new skills. Outside, temple life continues. Servants move through courtyards. Gardeners tend plants. Administrators review records. The institution functions through countless routines happening at the same time. Children raised within these environments become familiar with organization itself. They learn how systems operate, how responsibilities connect, how order is maintained. As the morning continues, the valley becomes warmer. Sunlight spreads across every field and rooftop. The smell of baking bread drifts through villages. Ovens glow with heat. Families prepare meals for the day ahead. A young girl helps shape dough beside her mother. Her hands are still learning. Sometimes the shape is uneven. Sometimes mistakes happen. Yet no one expects perfection. Skill develops gradually. The mother works calmly, patiently, without rushing. The lesson unfolds naturally. The girl watches, copies, improves. Many forms of ancient education happen this way. Knowledge passing quietly between generations. No classroom needed. No formal lesson required. Just shared work, shared time, shared experience. By midday, the heat becomes intense. The Egyptian sun stands high above the valley. The air feels heavy. Dusty roads shimmer. Stone walls radiate warmth. People move more slowly now. Shade becomes precious. A young servant boy sits briefly beneath a covered walkway. His duties have paused for a few moments. The cool shadow feels wonderful. He watches sunlight beyond the shelter. Bright. Almost blinding. Nearby, workers continue moving through a large household. Meals must be prepared. Supplies organized. Visitors received. The household operates much like a small institution. Every person contributes something. Even children. The boy knows his responsibilities. He understands what is expected. The structure of daily life feels familiar. Predictable. In many ways, comforting. Children often find security in routine. Knowing where they belong. Knowing what comes next. Knowing how the day will unfold. The afternoon drifts forward slowly. Heat encourages stillness. Inside workshops, craftsmen focus carefully on their work. Inside homes, families prepare food and complete indoor tasks. Inside temples, records are updated and stored. Everywhere, systems continue functioning. Yet there are always small moments between duties. Moments belonging only to the individual. A boy stands beside an irrigation canal. The water glides past quietly. Dragonflies hover above its surface. A breeze moves through nearby reeds. For a few minutes, he simply watches. No task. No instruction. No expectation. Just observation. These moments rarely appear in historical records. No scribe writes about them. No monument celebrates them. Yet they are part of real life. Part of childhood. Part of being human. The afternoon slowly softens. The sun begins descending toward the western horizon. The brightness loses some of its intensity. Long shadows stretch across roads and fields. Workers feel relief. The hottest hours are ending. Activity increases once more. Children help complete final tasks. Farmers inspect crops before returning home. Fishermen prepare for evening work. The valley shifts gently toward night. Along the Nile, boats move through golden light. The river glows beneath the setting sun. Its surface reflects shades of orange, gold, and deep red. A young girl watches from the shore. The scene feels beautiful. Though perhaps she does not think of it that way. It is simply part of life. Part of another evening beside the river. Children often accept remarkable sights as ordinary because they see them every day. Nearby, cooking fires begin appearing throughout the settlement. Smoke rises slowly into the cooling air. The smell of bread, fish, and vegetables spreads through the village. Families gather. Conversations begin. The pace of life slows. A boy sits beside his grandfather during the evening meal. The older man speaks about seasons long past. About river floods. About difficult harvests. About years when crops grew abundantly. The boy listens quietly. These stories carry knowledge. Not only facts, but perspective, experience, memory. Ancient childhood is filled with such moments. Listening, learning, absorbing. The stars begin appearing overhead. One by one. The heat fades. Cool air returns. The river grows darker beneath the night sky. Voices soften. Workshops close. Temple courtyards become quiet. Families prepare for sleep. A young student steps outside one final time before resting. Above him stretches a vast sky crowded with stars. The same stars his ancestors watched. The same stars countless children across Egypt are watching tonight. For a moment, he stands in silence. The river whispers in the distance. Palm trees sway gently. The night feels endless. Peaceful. Safe. Then he returns inside. The lamps grow dim. The conversations fade away. And once more, the children of the Nile Valley drift gently into sleep, surrounded by the ancient systems, traditions, and rhythms that shape their lives beneath the calm Egyptian sky. The ancient night settles softly across the Nile Valley. The river glides through the darkness without a sound. Moonlight stretches across the water in pale ribbons that drift and break with the current. The fields are quiet now. The workshops are still. The temple courtyards rest beneath the stars. Even the animals seem calmer during these late hours. Only the wind remains awake. It moves gently through palm leaves and reeds, carrying cool air across the sleeping land. Children rest throughout the valley. Their days have been filled with lessons, labor, errands, observations, and responsibilities. Now all of that has faded into dreams. A young girl sleeps beside her younger sister in a small mud brick home. The walls still hold traces of warmth from the day's sun. A clay lamp sits dark beside the doorway. Nearby, a basket of grain waits for tomorrow. Everything is quiet. The girl's breathing is slow and steady. Tomorrow she will wake before sunrise. Tomorrow she will help prepare food, carry water, assist her family. But tonight there is only stillness. The stars continue shining above the Nile. Hours drift by. Slowly. Peacefully. The eastern horizon eventually begins to brighten. Night releases its hold on the valley. The first birds call from the reeds. The river reflects soft colors spreading across the sky. Dawn arrives once more. The girl wakes. For a moment she remains beneath her covering. Listening. The sounds of morning are beginning. Someone is already grinding grain nearby. A donkey shifts outside. A door opens. Footsteps cross packed earth. The world is returning to life. She rises and joins her family. The coolness of dawn feels pleasant. Soon the heat will return. Everyone knows this. That is why so much work begins early. The first hours of daylight are valuable. Workers move through narrow paths carrying tools and baskets. The village awakens. Smoke begins rising from cooking fires. The smell of fresh bread drifts through the air. Children help where they can. A small task here. Another there. One responsibility followed by the next. Childhood in ancient Egypt often unfolds this way. Not separated from daily life. Not separated from work. Children grow up inside the routines of their communities. They learn by participating, by observing, by becoming useful members of the world around them. Nearby, a young boy walks toward a large estate storehouse. The morning light paints the walls gold. The air remains cool enough to feel comfortable. He carries a small bundle beneath one arm. His job today is simple. Deliver supplies. Assist older workers. Pay attention. The storehouse already feels busy. Workers organize baskets. Records are reviewed. Deliveries arrive. The estate depends upon careful planning. Food must be stored. Supplies counted. Resources distributed. Large systems require organization. Children raised around these systems witness that organization every day. They learn where things belong. Who is responsible for what? How tasks connect. Even without formal instruction, understanding slowly develops. The boy watches carefully. Observation is one of his greatest teachers. Farther south, within the walls of a temple complex, another day is beginning. Sunlight touches towering stone columns. Birds gather among trees growing within sheltered gardens. Pools reflect the morning sky. The atmosphere feels calm, almost timeless. A young temple servant carries water through a shaded corridor. Her sandals make soft sounds against smooth stone. She knows these paths well. She has walked them countless times. The temple feels enormous when she first arrives as a child. Yet over the years it becomes familiar. Every corner, every courtyard, every doorway. Places become part of memory. Children often remember spaces with remarkable clarity. The smell of a room. The feeling of cool stone beneath their feet. The way sunlight enters a courtyard at a particular hour. Such details stay with people for a lifetime. The morning progresses. Workers spread throughout the temple grounds. Gardeners care for plants. Scribes prepare records. Servants organize supplies. The institution awakens fully. The girl continues her duties. She works steadily. Without hurry. Without complaint. This rhythm feels normal. Life has always followed patterns like these. Across the valley, students gather inside a scribal school. The room remains pleasantly cool compared to the bright world outside. Light filters through narrow openings. Dust drifts through sunbeams. The atmosphere feels peaceful. A teacher speaks softly. Students listen. Writing exercises begin. Reed pens move carefully. Symbols appear. Corrections are made. The lesson continues. Hour after hour. Patience is essential. The work requires attention. A student bends over his writing surface. His hand grows tired. Yet he keeps practicing. He knows skill comes slowly. One careful mark at a time. The world outside may seem exciting. But inside this room, another kind of journey is taking place. A journey toward knowledge. Toward responsibility. Toward a future role within the systems that govern the kingdom. Meanwhile, along the Nile, fishermen prepare for another day on the water. Boats drift gently near the shore. Nets are inspected. Ropes are checked. The river shines beneath the growing sunlight. A young boy helps untangle part of a net. His fingers move carefully through the rope. Nearby, older fishermen discuss currents and recent catches. The boy listens. Learning happens constantly. Not through formal lessons. Through participation. Through experience. Through hearing the same knowledge repeated many times, the river itself becomes a classroom. Every season teaches something new. The morning gradually grows warmer. The sun climbs higher. Fields brighten beneath its light. Farmers work among rows of crops nourished by irrigation channels. A young girl walks beside her father. Together they inspect part of a field. The crops appear healthy. Water flows steadily through nearby channels. The father points towards small details. A section needing attention. A sign of healthy growth. The girl watches closely. Years from now she may remember these mornings. The smell of damp earth. The warmth of sunlight. The sound of water moving quietly beside the fields. Childhood memories often form around simple experiences. Not dramatic events. Not important ceremonies. Just ordinary moments repeated many times. By midday, heat settles heavily across the valley. The sky seems endless and bright. Dusty roads shimmer. Stone walls radiate warmth. People seek shade whenever possible. Inside homes, workshops, and temples, activity continues at a slower pace. A young apprentice sits inside a woodworking shop. The scent of fresh cut wood fills the room. Nearby, an experienced craftsman smooths the surface of a chair. The apprentice watches carefully. Every movement contains a lesson. The angle of a tool. The pressure of a hand. The patience required to do good work. Skills are not transferred instantly. They are built slowly. Day after day. Year after year. Children raised within craft traditions spend much of their youth observing before mastering. Observation becomes preparation. Preparation becomes skill. Skill becomes identity. Outside, the afternoon heat creates a sleepy atmosphere. The village seems quieter. Even conversations become softer. A young servant boy rests briefly beneath a shaded awning. His responsibilities will continue soon. For now he enjoys the cool shadow. He watches sunlight dancing across the ground beyond the shelter. The scene feels peaceful. Almost hypnotic. Ancient childhood contains many such moments. Brief pauses between responsibilities. Moments that belong entirely to the individual. Moments too small for history books. Yet deeply real. The afternoon drifts forward. Eventually the sunlight begins to soften. The harsh brightness fades. Long shadows stretch across the valley. Relief arrives with the cooling air. Workers straighten tired backs. Children finish final tasks. The day begins moving toward evening. Near the riverbank, boats return through golden light. The Nile glows beneath the setting sun. A young girl watches from the shore while helping organize baskets. The river looks beautiful. Gold near the horizon. Deep blue farther away. Birds cross the sky overhead. The scene feels calm. The sort of beauty that arrives quietly. Without demanding attention. Without asking to be remembered. Yet remembered all the same. Cooking fires appear throughout nearby settlements. The smell of bread fills the air. Families gather together. Meals are shared. Stories are exchanged. A young boy sits beside his grandmother while she speaks about years long past. About floods that arrived unexpectedly. About harvests remembered fondly. About relatives whose names still live within family memory. The boy listens. Not every story will remain with him. But some will. A phrase. A lesson. A feeling. The transmission of memory often happens this way. One evening at a time. One conversation at a time. The stars begin appearing above the valley. The heat finally fades. Cool air returns from the river. The sounds of labor disappear one by one. Workshops close. Temple gates grow quiet. Markets empty. The ancient world settles toward sleep. A young temple student steps into an open courtyard before resting. Moonlight touches the stone beneath his feet. The air feels comfortable. The sky above is filled with stars. He stands silently for a moment, listening. The distant river whispers through the darkness. Palm trees sway gently in the breeze. The night feels endless. Peaceful. Safe. Around him, countless other children prepare for sleep. Children raised by temples, by farms, by workshops, by fishing communities, by estates, by systems older than themselves. Systems that shape their days, guide their learning, define their responsibilities, and carry them gently from childhood toward adulthood. The stars shine above the Nile. The river continues flowing. The lamps fade. The voices disappear. And another quiet ancient night settles softly across the sleeping valley. The Nile flows beneath a sky crowded with stars. Its dark waters move steadily through the sleeping valley, reflecting moonlight in soft, broken patterns. Along its banks, the villages rest. The workshops are silent. The temple gardens stand still. Even the dusty roads that carried so many footsteps during the day now lie empty beneath the night sky. The air feels cool and gentle. A welcome change from the heavy heat of the afternoon. Palm leaves rustle softly overhead. The reeds beside the river sway in the darkness. Somewhere in the distance, a bird shifts briefly in its sleep. Then silence returns. Across ancient Egypt, children are asleep. Some lie beside parents and grandparents. Others sleep among fellow students within temple compounds. Some rest in workers' settlements attached to large estates. Each child belongs to a world shaped by routines and responsibilities. Yet for these quiet hours, all those duties disappear. Sleep creates a brief pause in the endless rhythm of work. A young boy sleeps near a cluster of homes built beside a busy river dock. His family earns a living transporting goods between settlements. Boats arrive and depart throughout the year. Grain, fish, pottery, tools. The river carries them all. The boy has spent much of his childhood watching vessels glide across the water. He knows the sound of ropes being tightened, the creak of wooden hulls, the splash of oars entering the Nile. These sounds are as familiar to him as birdsong. Now, however, the dock is quiet. The boats rest gently against their moorings. The river alone remains awake. Hours drift by. The stars slowly shift overhead. At last, a pale glow appears in the east. The first sign of another day. The darkness softens. The horizon brightens. Birds awaken among the reeds. The Nile catches the colors of dawn. Morning has returned. The boy opens his eyes. For a moment he remains still, listening. The settlement is beginning to stir. A door opens nearby. Someone speaks quietly. Footsteps cross packed earth. The familiar sounds of morning spread through the village. He rises and steps outside. Cool air greets him immediately. The river glows softly beneath the early light. The world feels calm, unhurried. This short period between night and full daylight often feels special. The day's work has not yet begun in earnest. The heat has not yet arrived. The valley seems peaceful, almost suspended between sleep and activity. Soon, however, the rhythm of life resumes. Boats are inspected. Supplies are organized. Workers prepare for another day. Children help where they can. The boy carries a coil of rope toward the dock. It is not difficult work. Yet it matters. Every small task contributes to something larger. This is a lesson children learn again and again. No single person keeps the system running alone. Everyone contributes. Everyone plays a role. Nearby, a young girl begins her day inside a farming community farther inland. The fields stretch outward beneath the rising sun. Rows of crops shimmer with traces of morning moisture. Irrigation channels carry water through the landscape. The sight feels orderly, peaceful. The girl walks beside her mother. Together they move along a narrow path between cultivated plots. The earth beneath their sandals feels cool. For now. Soon the sunlight will warm everything. The mother points toward several plants. Explaining. Observing. Teaching. The lesson feels casual. Almost effortless. Yet knowledge is being passed from one generation to another. This is how much of childhood learning happens. Not through formal instruction, but through daily life. Through shared experiences. Through simple conversations repeated over many years. The morning continues. Across the valley, countless routines unfold simultaneously. Farmers enter fields. Merchants prepare goods. Craftsmen unlock workshops. Temple servants begin their duties. Scribes organize records. Everywhere, systems awaken. And children move within those systems. Watching. Helping. Learning. Growing. Inside a large temple complex, a young student settles into another day of lessons. The classroom remains cool despite the strengthening sun outside. Stone walls shield the interior from heat. A teacher speaks softly. Students listen. Reed pens scratch across writing surfaces. The atmosphere feels calm. Focused. The student bends over his work. Some exercises now feel familiar. Others remain difficult. Yet he continues. Progress often arrives slowly. A little each day. A little each season. The path toward becoming a skilled scribe is long. But every lesson moves him forward. Outside the classroom, life continues throughout the temple grounds. Gardeners carry water. Workers sweep courtyards. Priests move quietly between buildings. The student occasionally hears distant sounds drifting through open doorways. Birdsong. Footsteps. Voices. Small reminders of the larger world beyond his lessons. As the morning grows warmer, activity spreads across roads and riverbanks. Merchants travel between settlements. Donkeys carry baskets filled with goods. Boats move steadily along the Nile. A young servant boy accompanies an administrator on a short journey. The road is dusty. The sunlight bright. The boy walks quietly, observing everything around him. A farmer repairing a fence. Children carrying water jars. Workers unloading supplies near a storehouse. These scenes may seem ordinary. Yet they form the texture of daily life. The details people remember years later. The details history often overlooks. The morning gradually becomes midday. The sun climbs high above the valley. Heat settles across the land. The air grows heavy. Stone walls radiate warmth. Dust rises beneath every passing footstep. Many people seek shade whenever possible. Inside homes, courtyards provide shelter. Inside temples, Thick walls offer relief. Inside workshops, open doorways invite whatever breeze may appear. A young apprentice sits beside a master potter. The room smells of clay and earth. Nearby, newly shaped vessels wait to dry. The apprentice watches carefully. The potter's hands move with remarkable confidence. Years of experience guide every motion. A small adjustment here. A gentle touch there. The clay responds immediately. The apprentice hopes one day to possess similar skill. For now, he watches, learns, practices. Mastery begins with patience. The afternoon drifts slowly onward. The heat encourages stillness. Even conversations seem quieter. A young girl helps prepare vegetables beneath a shaded shelter. Nearby, older relatives share stories while they work. The stories are familiar. Flood seasons, harvest memories, family histories. The girl has heard many of them before. Yet she listens again. Repetition gives stories strength. Each retelling preserves memory. Each retelling passes knowledge forward. Children often absorb more than adults realize. Details settle quietly into memory, waiting there for years. Outside, dragonflies move above irrigation channels. The water glitters beneath the afternoon sun. A boy pauses beside one of these channels while carrying supplies. For a few moments he simply watches the current. The water moves steadily. Just as it did yesterday. Just as it will tomorrow. The sight feels calming. The world can seem large and complicated. Yet the river remains dependable. A constant presence in every stage of life. Eventually the sunlight begins to soften. The hardest heat fades. Long shadows return to the landscape. Relief spreads across fields and villages. Workers finish final tasks. Children complete responsibilities. The valley slowly transitions toward evening. Near the river, fishermen prepare boats for the night. The Nile glows gold beneath the setting sun. Birds cross the sky overhead. The water reflects orange and crimson light. A young girl watches from the shore while helping organize baskets. The beauty of the scene feels ordinary because she sees it often. Yet it remains beautiful all the same. Some of life's most remarkable sights become part of daily routine. The evening deepens. Cooking fires appear throughout the settlements. The smell of bread drifts through the air. Families gather together. Meals are shared. Voices rise and fall in quiet conversation. A young boy sits beside his grandfather. The older man speaks about years long past. About seasons when the Nile rose especially high. About journeys made along the river. About relatives remembered fondly. The boy listens. Not every detail will remain. But some will. A story. A lesson. A feeling. The passing of memory from one generation to another often happens this way. Quietly. Naturally. Without ceremony. The stars begin appearing overhead. The heat finally retreats. Cool air drifts across the valley. One by one, the sounds of labor disappear. The workshops close. The markets empty. The temple courtyards become still. Families prepare for sleep. A young temple student steps outside before returning to his sleeping mat. Moonlight rests upon the stone walls around him. The air feels cool, comfortable, peaceful. Above him, the stars stretch endlessly across the sky. He stands silently for a moment, listening to the distant river, listening to the wind moving through palm trees, listening to the quiet of the ancient world. Then he turns and returns indoors. The lamps grow dim. The conversations fade. The Nile continues its endless journey through the darkness. And once again, another peaceful night settles gently over the children of ancient Egypt, carrying them softly towards sleep beneath the stars. The night is deep now. The Nile flows quietly beneath the stars. Its waters move through the darkness with the same calm rhythm they have carried for thousands of years. The villages rest along its banks. The temple walls stand silent. The workshops are empty. The fields lie still beneath the moonlight. The heat of the day has finally faded. A cool breeze drifts across the river and moves softly through the reeds. Palm leaves sway gently overhead. The sounds of labor are gone. The sounds of conversation have disappeared. Even the animals have settled into sleep. Across the valley, children rest. Some sleep within humble mud brick homes. Some within temple compounds. Some near fishing docks. Some beside fields that will welcome them again tomorrow. Their baskets have been set aside. Their lessons are finished for the day. Their responsibilities have paused. For now, there is only rest. The ancient systems that shaped their lives continue quietly around them. The estates remain. The workshops remain. The temples remain. The river remains. Yet tonight, none of those things demand anything. The world has become still. A young student sleeps beneath a simple covering. A fisherman's child sleeps beside the river. A young servant rests after a long day. A future scribe dreams beneath the same stars that shine over every village in the valley. Their stories drift together in the darkness. Ordinary lives? Quiet lives? Lives rarely recorded in stone. Yet lives filled with mornings beside the Nile. Warm bread shared with family. Dusty roads beneath tired feet. Cool shade during the hottest hours. Soft evening conversations beneath the stars. The gentle routines of everyday existence. The river continues flowing. Steady. Patient. Endless. Its waters pass sleeping villages. They pass silent fields. They pass moonlit docks and darkened temple walls. The current carries the ancient world forward through the night. Above, the stars shine calmly. The same stars watched by farmers, by fishermen, by builders, by children. The same stars that have watched countless generations come and go. The valley grows quieter. The breeze softens. The reeds barely move now. The lamps have gone dark. The final voices have faded away. Only the Nile remains, flowing softly through the darkness. And as the ancient river continues its journey beneath the peaceful Egyptian sky, the children of the valley sleep soundly beside its banks. The night deepens. The stars glow gently overhead. The world grows still. And slowly, very slowly, the ancient land drifts into silence.